Listen to Mexican President Obrador say he's going to endorse Beto O'Rourke over my governor, Governor Abbott, because he's daring to secure the border, take steps to secure the border.
Congressman Chip Roy seems to be a little confused over what an endorsement is. Not that the facts have gotten in the way of this gentleman from Texas fomenting hatred and supporting violence against people of color in the past. More on that in a moment. Roy, who is about as Texan as I am, given that we both grew up in the same D.C. area town, was responding to comments made Friday by Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador in response to a new plan by Texas Governor Greg Abbott to order Texas state soldiers and law enforcement to capture and deport undocumented immigrants. Now, not only is this order unconstitutional, as immigration authority is a federal, not state power, something confirmed by the Supreme Court a decade ago when Arizona tried something similar, but given the vagueness of the order and the fact that many experts say it will only make immigration enforcement more difficult, it's clear that this is a political stunt as Abbott struggles to hang on to his job in November in what is shaping up to be Texas's closest gubernatorial election in decades. So with that in mind, here's what the president of Mexico actually said when asked about Abbott's latest stunt. There are elections in November, so they're looking to sensationalize this. They cannot count on us because even though we are respectful of sovereignty of other countries, we don't support that there are anti-immigrant campaigns for electoral purposes. I consider it immoral and political. Abbott's campaign responded. It's not surprising that the pro-open border president of Mexico is endorsing Beto O'Rourke, the pro-open candidate for Texas governor. While Beto O'Rourke and President Lopez Obrador don't believe there's a problem at our southern border, deadly fentanyl continues to ravage communities throughout Texas and America. Governor Abbott will continue utilizing all available resources to secure our southern border, including building the wall, deploying the Texas National Guard and DPS troopers, and delivering illegal immigrants back to the border. For the record, neither AMLO or Beto support an open border, and Beto's campaign platform has a clear plan for immigration and the opioid epidemic that doesn't rely on using soldiers that are trained to kill, rounding up unarmed families of brown people. So let's listen to the full clip of Congressman Roy.
Listen to Mexican President Obrador say he's going to endorse Beto O'Rourke over my governor, Governor Abbott, because he's daring to secure the border, take steps to secure the border. Let me say something to President Obrador. If you want to come have a skirmish with Texas, you can meet us in San Jacinto. Okay? Amen. We're going to secure the border of the United States, and we're going to do it now.
As I mentioned earlier, if state authorities attempt to enforce immigration law, it's a violation of federal law, the Constitution, and Supreme Court precedent. Not that this current Supreme Court seems to have any respect for established precedent, but that's exactly the point. On its face, this is a stunt to rile up the Republican base, but there are some undercurrents to this that are worth looking into. First is that despite there being established Supreme Court precedent affirming immigration policy as the federal government's responsibility, the recent decision overturning Roe and 50 years of precedent shows that this court simply doesn't care about precedent and might be willing to take up the issue and hand power to racist authorities. Second, there's that last line from Roy saying, "Meet me in San Jacinto." San Jacinto was the site that the Mexican army was slaughtered by an Anglo-American Texian militia. The subtext here is that many Republicans have been calling for Governor Abbott to treat undocumented immigrants as invaders and declare a state of emergency. Is the implication that migrant families from El Salvador and Guatemala should then line up in San Jacinto and be similarly massacred? Why bring up this violent moment in history in relation to a group of migrants that are increasingly made up of women and children? The invasion narrative is unfortunately something that we are likely to hear more about, as it plays into something called replacement theory. The New York Times recently underlined how prominent this theory is becoming in right-wing politics in their profile of Tucker Carlson and his promotion of it on his show. The issue is something covered by TYT extensively, so I won't get too deep into it now, but in short, the idea is a core principle of white nationalism and holds that black and brown people are trying to replace white people to extinguish the white race. By the way, a reminder that Chip Roy was one of only 3 members of Congress to vote against making lynching a federal hate crime. The quiet part just keeps getting louder and louder.